Oh, hi. Just casually making a YouTube video for the first time in like 5 years, but for good reason, because the Women's Prize has sent me a copy of the 2025 fiction long list, and I thought if anything warranted a return to YouTube, it was opening this. So I haven't looked in it at all yet. Eric at Loans and Read and I did a little prediction video, which is kind of like halfway between a prediction and a wish list. That's over on his channel, I'll link it down below, so you can see how many we got right. But without further ado, let's see what's in there. I always get very excited. I love the Women's Prize. It's my favourite book prize. There's never been a year that I have followed it properly without at least a couple of the books ending up on my books of the year list at the end of the year. So, and it's just fun. It's fun getting involved. I'm also a patron of the Women's Prize. I like it that much that I've started giving them some money. Now, I shouldn't open it properly, so I can't see anything. I'm just going to delve in, as is my genuine reaction, so better or worse. Our first book is, The Safekeep. So this is one both Eric and I predicted on the Booker long list. I haven't read it yet. I won't have read most of these. I read a lot of backlist and fantasy books, so I do like to dabble in contemporary fiction, but less and less so. The last time I was on here, actually, I used to make videos almost entirely about contemporary fiction, but I was a journalist, so I was reading really recent stuff ahead of publication, and now I'm not a journalist. I really enjoy being able to read older books and backlist and kind of not being tied to publication dates. Anyway, I've heard so much good stuff about this, and I'm really excited to read it. My friend Charlotte said it was like one of her best books of last year, so great start. Okay, I'm trying not to see what's in there when I put the other books down. Okay, here we go. Next up is Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout. Now, confession, I've never read any Elizabeth Strout, and I probably should because everyone loves her. It's such a beautiful edition. It's got like, I love a cloth spine. I thought that perhaps this wouldn't be here because it's part of her kind of ongoing loose, I don't think, like stories about Olive Kitteridge, I think, but like it's not really a series, it's like connected stories. But I'm excited to try her. I've been meaning to read her for a really long time. Okay. The Ministry of Time. I didn't predict this because I think the prize is a bit unpredictable with genre, but I've read it and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a literary sci-fi love story about time travel and colonialism. I really enjoyed this and delighted to see it here, delighted to see genre on the list as well. Great. Also delighted, honestly, there's only a month between this being revealed and the shortlist coming out. I usually try and read like all of the long list, most of the long list, but usually there's 6 weeks, and I still either only just do it or don't miss a few books. So with it only being a month, the more books I've already read, the better for having read it all. Okay, next book is Karen Jennings' Crooked Seeds. This is one that I nearly put on my prediction list, actually. It's one of the last ones that I took off. It's published by Holland House, a small press. That's always nice, and it's set in South Africa, I think. Yeah, in a parched corner of Cape Town during an endless drought, Deirdre van Deventer reads a call from South African police. I have spent some time in South Africa as well, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And it's short, which aforementioned time situation is always good. Okay, next book is a paperback, Somewhere Else by Jenny Dykes. I've seen this on somebody's prediction list. I'm sure it's by Scotland Street Press, another small press. That's really nice to see. I don't really know a great deal about this. Rosa Roshkin is 5 years old when her family are murdered in a pogrom, and she is forced to leave everything behind. Leave behind everything she knows with only a suitcase of clothes and her father's violin. And it's got a quote from Miriam Margolyes, slightly randomly. Unclear of its time setting, but yeah, I love. Hang on, I can probably find out. Here we go. So it's set in 1906. Okay, well, we'll find out. I don't know where it's set yet, but always excited to find new books. Okay, next book is oh, Good Girl by Aria Aber. So I predicted this one as well. This one is, I haven't read it, but I just think it sounds great. It's about like a reform party girl. That's a bit flippant, I think, but in Berlin, reflecting back on her kind of chaos years. She's the daughter of, Afghan refugees, but she's pretending that she is not. And it's about kind of race and belonging and Berlin and kind of the party scene there. I think it sounds great. It's a debut as well. Great cover. Very exciting. Okay, the next one is, All Fours by Miranda July. I predicted this one as well. I haven't read it yet. I do already own this one actually though. I love the cover. This is another one where I've heard so many good things about it. Her last book, The Last Batman, was it the last book? I really admired. I found it a bit much. Like, I am not one for kind of the the Pisces style writing is probably the best way to say it. Like, kind of very, it's not that I don't like explicit content, but there's certain kind of like a grotesque explicit content that isn't really for me. But I think she's brilliant and I like her films as well. So I'm really excited to read that one. Oh, okay. Oh, this is Fundamentally by Nusayba Yunus. Again, another one I thought might be on there. Do you know what? Part of the reason I didn't put this one on is this is published by W&N. And when I was looking at what they had that was eligible this year, they had so many books. And I just took a bit of a stab at what I thought was going to be on there. But this sounds really good. It's supposed to be like kind of dark. It's like a dark comedy about an academic who goes to join, she works for the UN in Iraq working with rehabilitated ISIS women. But it's like, it's supposed to be very like dark humour, like the old razor sharp, which I think is overused as a description of books these days. But this perhaps sounds like it might be one that warrants it. I am excited by this long list so far. Okay, what have we got next? We've got A Little Trickery by Rosanna Pike. So Eric predicted this one. I went for Rapture by Emily Maguire instead of this one because I felt like they maybe had quite similar themes and I didn't know that they go for both of them. We'll see. But this is a book, actually, it's on this shelf somewhere, which is my like proof to read shelf and other stuff, crafts and my books as well. But I think this sounds brilliant. I love historical fiction. And it's based on a real life story of a guy, I think in Tudor England, who pretends to hear angels or something like that. I haven't read it yet. I'm really looking forward to reading this one and I love the cover. This is a great long list so far. There's not a single book on here that I'm not interested or excited to read. Okay, next up we have, I'm smashing it this year. I'm just going to say, because I predicted this one as well. This is Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell. I haven't read it, but this has been on a lot of people's predictions list, so I perhaps don't get so many points for this. So this is a debut about a woman living in Dublin who is in an abusive relationship, and on the spur of the moment she like leaves with her two daughters, and it's about her trying to sort of find her own way and look after her daughters. So yeah, really looking forward to reading this one. It's supposed to be very, very good. Another great cover as well. Right, next book is The Persians by Sanam Malouji. I love the cover. That's a very striking cover. I definitely happened across this when I was looking at what was eligible, but I didn't really, it kind of wasn't on my contention list for no particular reason other than there's hundreds of books eligible and you've got to try and, if you're trying to predict it, you've got to pick something. So this is about a family of Iranian women. Yeah, so 5 women from 3 generations of a once illustrious Iranian family as their lives are turned upside down. In Iran, they were somebodies. In America, they're nobodies. And it spans from the 1940s Iran into the splintered 2000s. It's a really striking cover. I really like the premise. Another one I'm really looking forward to reading. Okay, whoop, I've got too many books. Okay, next we have, this one's a bit more complicated, isn't it? We have Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I've actually never read her at all. Eric predicted this one. I chose not to put this one on my list. I think that she is a tricky figure with her views on trans women. She's quite hard to pin down on what she thinks, but there's been a few things that I'm not, yeah, just, you know what, like make me, there's a lot of books to read and they make me less enthusiastic to read her work. But she's obviously also a very well regarded and beloved writer. I haven't read her, so I can't speak to my personal relationship with her books. But here is this one. She's won the prize in the past, and then she won the like women's prize of women's prizes. I can't remember what they called them, like for the 25th anniversary of the prize. So I'm not hugely surprised to see this one here. Okay, there's a lot of paper, and then we've got more books. We've got Birding by Rose Ruan. This is the first one I've not even heard of. Oh no, the second one. Very striking cover, published by Corsair. I don't know anything about this one. So, in a gentrifying rundown seaside resort town, two women pass each other on the promenade, unaware of each other's existence, but their lives are set on an unlikely collision course. That doesn't really say anything, does it? In the 90s, Lydia was a teen pop star, posed half naked on billboards with a lollipop between her lips. 3 decades later, she's less than sure that what happened to her was in the least bit okay. Joyce, in middle age, has never left home. Interesting. Nice and short. But also sounds like an interesting concept. I don't know enough about it to make... I don't have any strong instincts one way or the other than I really like the cover. Interesting. Yeah. Right, we're nearly at the end, are we? Yes. Next one is... one I completely haven't heard of. The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami. Another beautiful cover. This is a beautiful cover. Okay, great. And this one, Sarah is returning home from a conference abroad when agents from the Risk Assessment Administration pull her aside at the airport. Using data from her dreams, their algorithm has determined that she's at imminent risk of harming her husband. For his safety, she must be transferred to a retention centre and kept under observation for 21 days. Ooh, okay. It's a gripping speculative mystery about the seductive dangers of the technologies that are supposed to make our lives easier. Interesting. I like that the list seems to be embracing some genre. This is sort of obviously sci-fi adjacent. Jennifer Egan, who wrote Goon Squad, says gripping and Kafkaesque, so which I always just makes me think of Bridget Jones. But yeah, another one that sounds great. What a good long list. I haven't read many of them, but next we have The Artist by Lucy Steeds. Which on the quote has on the back has a blurb by Yael van der Wouden. I need to practice. Someone in the comments of Eric told us how to say this, and I need to like watch some videos until I get that right as we progress. I promise I will get it right for the next time. This is set in Provence in 1920. Etty moves through the remote farm. Oh, this is an annoying blurb. Aspiring journalist, interviewing a reclusive painter. Swan sweltering summer. Everyone's true colours will be revealed. I would say I like books about like art and artists. I like historical fiction. I would say the tagline, Etty is ready to be seen, even if it means setting her world on fire. It's not it's not my favourite, but that's okay. This is John Murray. Great, yeah. And again, not a chunky one. We haven't got too many really chunky books, which I appreciate. I think how many? We've got one. Is that the last one? One more. I have to check. I think. Oh, and another new one to me. This is Amma by Soraya de Silva. Another really pretty cover. This is published by Weatherglass Books. Oh, Weatherglass is such an interesting indie publisher because both me and Eric had a Weatherglass book on our lists that weren't this one. So, you know, they've obviously got a lot of interesting books that are in contention for this sort of thing. And yeah, where's the... Amma is a startlingly beautiful novel about family trauma, post-colonial displacement and queerness, set in 1954 Singapore. 10-year-old Josephina kills her abuser. This event becomes a defining moment in the lives of her daughters Thara and her granddaughter Annie. So like multi-generational. There's a few things that are kind of like multi-generational, which I really enjoy reading. Again, one that I'm like excited to try. Now, let me just check there's nothing else hiding. I haven't been keeping track of my numbers. Be right back. Okay, there's no more books. Have I only read one of them though? Oh, I've only read one of them. The one I've read is this one, The Ministry of Time, which I really enjoyed and I'm delighted to see on the long list. And then ones I predicted are that one, that one, that one, and that one. So 4 on my prediction list. And then Eric also predicted this one and this one too. So actually between us, we have 6 right, which I think is pretty good going. I think this is a really exciting list. From the judges, I think it's a fool's game to try and predict what the specific judge is going to predict. But with the judges, I did think we might have a long list that was really enjoyable. There's obviously some heavy subjects in here as well, but yeah, I think a lot of humour, a lot of generational stories, a few historical things, a few genre things, a few historical things, a few things that are kind of sci-fi adjacent, which I'm really excited about. It seems like a really nice mix. Nothing that actually I feel a little conflicted about Adichie, but everything else I am either already excited to read or is appealing to me. I'm tempted to go for the ones that appeal to me first, but last year I read them at random. I put them all in a jar and I picked them out one at a time to try and circumvent my prejudices about covers and subject matter, and I had a really good time with that. But I would say that I was less drawn to the long list last year, so it was a good way to kind of read through it, whereas this is a long list that is innately appealing to me. So I'll update you on what I decide to do. I might film, if I put it in a pot, I'll probably film it and put it after this. So thank you to the Women's Prize for sending me the long list. Very exciting year. As I say, I'm going to do my best to read. I'm not going to be able to read all of them. I'm trying to write a book at the same time. It's not going to happen, but I will do my best to read as many of them as possible. And I'm sure Eric and I will film some sort of shortlist prediction, long list thoughts, which will be on his channel at some point, I suppose, at the end of this month, the end of March, ready for the shortlist to be announced at the very beginning of April. Very exciting times. I love Women's Prize season. Also, hello. I haven't decided if I'm going to regularly make YouTube videos or not, but I just wanted to be a bit more chatty than Reels or TikTok allows for, and probably the algorithm won't show this to anybody anyway, because I haven't posted anything for so long. But if you are watching, then hello, thank you for watching. It's nice to be back. I might be back, I might not. And there might be some footage after this of me putting pieces of paper in a jar. Surprise, there is. After thinking about it for not very long, I decided that I am going to at least start by reading them at random. It was a really enjoyable way to do it last year, and the ones that I'm drawn to I will read anyway, so I feel like it's a good way to perhaps pick up some of the ones that I am less intuitively drawn to. Because it's such a short reading period, as we get closer to the end I might change my mind, but certainly I'm going to start this way. I filmed all this thinking, oh, some nice little bits of ASMR, but you know, it's quite long and it's quite repetitive, so I'm going to speed this up. And just some quick final thoughts. I think the most notable book that's missing is probably the Elif Shafak, which almost everyone was expecting to be there. There's also no Anne Tyler, there's no Sally Rooney, ones that kind of were cropping up again and again. Personally, I'm sad that there's no Ali Smith or Claire Pollard. I love both of those books. You can hear me talk a bit more about them in my video with Eric, but just to say that I'd really recommend them. Ali's obviously very well regarded and people know about her books, but just to say I really enjoyed The Modern Fairies by Claire Pollard. It's one of my favourite books of last year and I would really recommend it to you. It is kind of Angela Carter-esque historical novel set about 100 years before the French Revolution in the fairy tale salon in Paris. Really recommend. But otherwise, I think lots of really good books. I think Elif is probably the most egregiously missing book, but I haven't read it, so I can't really comment. If you followed along with Eric and I reading the prize about 2 years ago, I didn't really get on with The Island of Missing Trees, partly because it was narrated partially by a fig tree, and apparently part of this one is narrated by a drop of water. But you know, I really admire her, and people love her books so much. That's the only one I've read, so I was kind of hoping to read it and fall in love with it, but I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. But now the next month is all going to be about delving into these books. So you're about to see me pick the first one, and I was delighted with which one came out, because it's the only book on the list that I already owned because I wanted to read, and it's one that I have a lot of people who have read and raved about, cropped up on a lot of people's books of the year for last year. And actually, by the time I'm recording this voiceover, I'm about 100 pages in and I'm having an absolutely wonderful time with it. So really enjoying All Fours by Miranda July so far, and I will probably update you not on here but on Eric's channel at the end of the month with what I've thought of any that I've enjoyed reading or otherwise. That's a sinister way to end it.